call this regular board meeting of the Bridgeport Board of Police Commissioners to order at 6 o'clock. The roll call of commissioners, Commissioner Williams. Commissioner Williams. You're muted. Commissioner Cruz.
Williams here.
Williams here. Commissioner Cruz here. Commissioner Lyons.
Here.
Commissioner Roach. For the record, we have a quorum. We also have the present Chief Porter, Captain John Cummings, among others that are going to be speaking soon. And I believe Councilwoman Martinez is on the line as well, who is scheduled to speak tonight. We'll entertain a motion for acceptance of the minutes of the regular board meeting held on November 21st.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Entertain the same motion for the minutes for the special board meeting of November 30th.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Acceptance of the special board meeting, which was held on December 6th. Entertain the same motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Same people.
Moved by Commissioner Williams and seconded by Commissioner Cruz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Last one is the acceptance of the minutes of the special board meeting held on December 7th. Entertain the same motion.
So moved.
It's been moved. And is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. All the minutes have been accepted. Moving on to the Chief of Police. Before we do it, for the record, Commissioner Farrow is present. Chief, good evening, and how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. The floor is yours.
All of the other board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just wanted to, as we wrap up this our last meeting of the year, just to highlight a couple of quick things and then talk about 2024. And then I have Captain Cummings on. He's going to talk about a big effort that we've undertaken to address some of the tractor trailer and abandoned auto issues, and also abandoned boats as well. But I'm not sure if you had a chance to see my year-end review on Facebook. If you have a chance, and if you have nothing to do and you want to hear a boring presentation, and if you want to get something to help you put you to sleep, take a listen to it. But just to highlight a couple of things. So as we have like another week or so of 2024, but our stats for the last several months have continued to trend down. Although we're our overall crime statistics are 6% above where they were this time last year. Our violent crime in our last couple of months continue to trend in a downward motion. Our shooting incidents continue to be down. Our shooting victims continue to be down, and our fatal shooting victims continue to be down. As I always state, our crime statistics are nothing but a measure for us to see how we're doing and how we should be repositioned. Always, it's how our citizens feel and their perception of what crime and how they feel in their communities is most important to me. So just to highlight and recap a couple of things, as we went through the year, our big push was obviously to re-engage with the community in a positive manner. And I think we've done that, and we're going to continue to look to do that as we go into 2024 in an even more aggressive manner. We're going to continue to do that. Also, as it relates to our hiring efforts, which was another big push for us in 2024. So we've hired 43 officers in 2024. And I'm sorry, 2023. And we're going to look to continue in 2024. We are currently processing some applicants now, and we anticipate and hope to conduct a couple of classes, in early to mid 2024. So look forward to that. So again, we've hired 43 officers in 2023. We also now have the ability to hire lateral transfers. So that should start within the next couple of weeks. Early next year, we will start taking on lateral officers as well. So that'll help us significantly improve our numbers. Our current PPOs, we call them, our field, the officers who are in the FTO program, the 23 who graduated a couple of months ago, they will be off of the field training officer program by the end of this week, some of them. So you'll see them on their own. They're going to be able to work on their own within the next several days. So what we want to do is, as we go into get further into the holiday season, we're going to put them out on some foot patrols for like a couple of weeks. And then unfortunately, once we get into January, they're going to have to fill into some open cars. Obviously, my goal and long-term goal and hope is that we get enough officers where we'll be able to have consistent, ongoing walk-in details, where officers will be out and about, consistently going long-term. We just still have to get to a point where we have enough officers to staff the regular patrols and calls for service before we could do that. So as we go into 2024, many of the things that I talked about earlier in the year and even during the selection process, I think we're finally at the point where we're going to be able to do some of those things. If you recall, during our interviews back in late 2022, I talked about really trying to civilianize a lot of positions. So we're finally at the point now where we're going to start advertising, or we have begun advertising for some positions that will help us. We'll be doing some civilianization, which will get more officers on the road and out of civilian positions that we've done in the past. So I'm looking forward to that. And we also are looking to experience with some different scheduling and reduction of squads to help us kind of consolidate some of our manpower in a way that would be more efficient for the department. So we're looking forward to doing that as well. Really excited about that. Some of the long-term goals that we are undertaking, I've met with my command staff, deputy chiefs and captains, and we've met with our state delegation, or we're going to be meeting with our state delegation. So some of the long-term goals we have in terms of some of the needs I think that we have. And I also had a meeting with a couple of our city council members, Councilmember Burns and Boyd and Amy Marie Vizzo. So we're entertaining a building. The mayor has allocated money in our budget to do a study, a feasibility study regarding the building. And I'm sure our police commissioners will be interested in being a part of that. I understand it's a long-term goal, and it's a big ask, but it's something that's needed. When they were at my office last Friday, we went to the front of the building, and the placard said that building was built, I believe, in 1966. So that's coming up on 58 years. And if you walk inside the building, you'll see 1966 staring right at you. There's not a whole lot of modernization to that building. So we do need to really it'll be past my tenure. But for the long-term future of the department, we really need to look at some building options, not only to help us be more attractive, but also to help us retain officers. And also, more importantly, or just as importantly, is to give the community a building that they can be proud of and that they can go in and do business and feel like they're in a professional police department. Notwithstanding, my officers do a professional job every day. All the people who work in that building, the civilians, with what we have, we do an excellent job. So I just wanted to mention that. So we're also looking to once again, try and get a range. We need a police range. I've been with the department as Captain Cummings 32 years. And during our entire 32-year career, we've never had our own police range. So we are entertaining that again, that we get our own range for our something that we have to do for our training purposes. So I would like to really go hard at that in 2024. A couple other things we're looking at scene traffic van for our traffic division. Make them more efficient when they can bring all they have a lot of modern equipment to scenes. We're looking at that. We're also looking at the possibility of creating a storage facility for a lot of our vehicles that we need for that we have to store for court and evidence and things like that. We just have to maintain, and so we're looking for a place that we can maintain those vehicles in a safe environment, and also an environment that will preserve the evidentiary value of those vehicles that we need for some court cases. We're trying to minimize the number of that we can that we hold on to, but we have to work that out with the state's attorneys because oftentimes those vehicles are used for court. So we're looking at doing that. One of the things that I want to explore, and this will be something that we'll do with the city council, with the board of police commissioners, and also our citizenry. Something the mayor and I kind of like talked about really briefly, and we really have to get back to it, is the possibility of red light cameras in the city of Bridgeport, if that's something that we want to entertain. I know the state has approved that. I know that the city of West Hartford and the city of Stamford have begun to do studies to see the viability of and the pros and cons for red light cameras. I think that is something that we should definitely entertain. With our manpower issues, that we're not able to do the traffic enforcement as we would like to do. So putting red light cameras in areas that are prone for high accidents or speeding would probably go a long way in helping us in that manner. But before we undertake anything like a red light camera program, obviously that's something we'd work with the Board of Police Commissioners, our city council, and also our citizens. They all need to be a part of some technology like that being introduced into the city. So definitely going to be looking into do that as well. But beyond that, I think we've made a lot of progress this year. We haven't made nearly enough progress that we want to make, but I think we're heading in the right direction. As we go into 2024, we also look to get some promotional exams, but be mindful of the promotional exams. I want to make sure that we have a well-balanced police department before we promote too many people. I don't want to be top heavy. I think we'd be doing a disservice to the city and our officers if we promoted too many people, and if we don't have enough police officers to handle the call volume. So, it's a balancing act, and it would be irresponsible of me to not take into account the need for call officers to respond for call for service. But we're weighing all those options. But we're gonna, like I've said throughout my time as the police chief and even before, we have to deal with our current reality. We have to deal with the reality that we are confronted with. I would love to have 400 plus police officers, but we don't. And, it's going to take us a while to get to that point. But until we get to that point, I have to be responsible with how we how we manage the police department. And I'm going to continue to do that. So with that, I'll take any questions. And then Captain Cummings is here. He's excited to be here to talk about the the efforts that we've made to address the tractor trailers and boats and other issues regarding things like that. So I'll take any questions if you have at this point.
Any questions for the chief before we hear from Captain Cummings?
I have a
Commissioner
question.
Cruz.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for sharing, Chief Porter. I do have a question. You were talking about that we are 6% above from last year regarding violent crimes, or overall?
Overall,
As far as, okay. So how are ShotSpotter, how is that being tracked? Is that part of the shootings in Bridgeport?
Yeah, so ShotSpotter, it's a system that indicates that shots have been fired, and what it does is
Yes.
allows us to get officers to the scenes more rapidly. And what we do with that ShotSpotter, so we have that NIBIN system now too. So we collect the shell casings, we put them in a NIBIN system, and we try to match them to any other shootings. It's a system that I think is effective. It allows us to get indications of shots being fired when we might not otherwise get those if citizens aren't calling those in. So it's effective. I think you're going to see us expand more with it now. We have our own NIBIN system. One of the things we're looking to do, our detective bureau, we're looking to hire an analyst to analyze the different shell casings, when the shots come off, to kind of triangulate where these are coming from and identify suspects. So it's an effective tool, and there's ways that we can use it more. And I think that we're starting to explore that at this point.
So I think I probably didn't ask the question correctly. I'm aware with the ShotSpotter,
Okay.
it is an effective tool. I think that what I was asking was, are ShotSpotter's indicators taken into account with your statistics as far as shooting is concerned?
So that's not a stat we keep in terms of with the shootings. There's actual shooting incidents where there's a person that was struck, but that's a separate accounting of shots being fired. I can get those stats. That's not something we publish. We do our uniform crime report, and that's not one of the areas that we cover in our ShotSpotter.
And so, and my next question is, because it's so effective, how is the Fusion Center being currently managed? Because I understand that patrol officers are widely spread throughout the city. So is that being short managed as a result?
So the Fusion Center, just like other areas of the department, we've had to bring some of those officers out because of manpower issues, but we do have a cache of officers that work in the Fusion Center. One of the things we are looking to do is civilianize and get some more civilian positions in that Fusion Center. So that will give us more and more individuals who could use that technology to help us out.
Okay.
And I just want to
thank you.
I just want to give you a little, so as it relates to our crime stats, so we're 6% overall ahead of this time last year. And what seems to be driving our stats this year, if I had some glasses, I could see a little better, but our burglaries are slightly up. Our burglaries are up 30%. And that's what's driving it, as well as our felony larcenies are up 18%. Those are the two that are driving us the most. But like, for instance, our robberies are down 22%. And so what's driving that 6% increase, I believe, is the increase in the number of burglaries, and as well as the felony larcenies are the ones driving those. But if you look at for our stats for the last 28 days and week to date, those areas have also come down to some degree. So we were trending in the right direction the last several months. But it's of concern, obviously, the burglaries, and it's something that we have to focus on, and that's something we'll be looking to do better in the coming year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Captain?
Yes, are you able to hear me? I'm working off my phone. I had no audio on my computer.
Yeah.
Could hear you loud and clear.
Excuse me, before I turn it over to Captain Cummings, I just wanted to say that tomorrow in front of the police department, we'll be having with the Maryland Goldstone Foundation, we'll be doing a toy giveaway. So if anybody's in the area, feel free to come. And if I don't see any of you, have a happy, safe holiday. And we look forward to seeing you in 2024 doing, bigger and better things with the Bridgeport Police Department.
Chief, I had a couple of questions before.
Yeah,
jump
I'm
off.
sorry, Chief. I didn't
That's
realize
okay.
you were going to be jumping off before.
No, I'm going to stay on.
Before the captain started. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know.
I had a few. This is Commissioner Williams. I had a few questions
Hi,
for you,
Commissioner.
Chief. Hi, happy holidays to all. My questions were concerning when you talked about the red light cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned, will there be a study before that is being considered to put in place?
Yeah,
Would they-
Commissioner, that's a great question. So yeah, so what the study would do is we would do a study to see areas where it would be more beneficial, like where we have our high incidence of accidents and things like that. But yeah, so and also the study will be done to see what impact it might have on our community, positive or negative, and those things that we you know we're going to be transparent about if we undertake this initiative and get the community's feedback to see how they feel about something like this.
Because there's a cost associated to that.
Yeah.
If I'm correct, if they're running the red light, they would be automatically given a
Oh,
ticket.
Yeah, so they'd be given a ticket. But one of the things that I know about the program, and I don't want to profess to know everything about the program, is that ultimately a police officer will review all of the video before determine if a ticket is issued. It won't be an
Okay.
automatic issuance of the ticket from some third party.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
The other question is, and this is, I'm just from old school, but what
Okay.
is that? There's a range on Stratford Avenue. Is that still operable or not? Is that
Yeah,
not?
that is actually. I'm sorry. Yes, that's still operable. It's a privately owned range. We
Okay,
actually
it's private.
we rent space there. We pay rent to we pay to
Okay.
use that. We don't have our own.
Okay, I mean, I think that might be duly noted because some people believe that it is part of the police department. So
Yeah.
when seeking a new, seeking our own, range for the police department, that might be noted in there that and how long the police department has been renting and the cost, do a cost analysis. And that
Mhm.
might drive home that, if the police department has been using it for 30 years, what's the cost of the rent?
Yeah, no,
Versus, having our own range.
no, those are excellent points. And so since my time, we've used the range in Monroe, we've used the range in Stratford, we've
Right.
used the Stratford Department, we've used the Fairfield Police Department, and we currently use the police department. I mean, the range on Stratford Avenue. And cost is definitely a main factor, but also the ability to get our officers in there to train and to practice, to get better. And so those are all factors that I think we need to consider as well when we consider a range.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. Because if there's a cost associated to utilizing those ranges, I think that is vital. And as well as having the own access to go when you need to and not have to schedule it and,
Mhm.
during that renting time.
Mhm.
And lastly, I know we haven't spoken much about the overtime with the shortage. Is the
Mhm.
overtime still high or is it
So
leveling out or?
no, so the last time I examined the overtime, we're basically at the same pace we were last year.
Okay.
But the majority of the overtime that we are spending is to backfill cars for vacancies. We are doing some overtime for some say downtown details. When there's crime spikes, we're using overtime for things like that. One of the things that I'm going to do this year with the overtime and working with Nestor is we're going to really lay out all the overtime spent for like our special events that I really want to, so we're going to lay all of those different events that require inside overtime be paid to officers. So we're going to lay all of that out. But the majority of our overtime continues to be spent to backfill for vacancies, which we have a good number of. And when we do special details, like one of the special details we've been doing is downtown because of the uptick in the our nightlife activity. We've been having police officers add extra coverage for downtown, just so that people feel safe coming to downtown. But yeah, the majority of our overtime continues to be driven by our vacancies. One of the things we are looking to do, and I think they just started advertising the position, we are looking to get a dedicated person for the police department to be our fiscal person, to give us monthly reports, to show us where we're spending our money and what we're getting from that money, and also to help us with the obtaining and administering of grants as well. So I think that's going to help us become much more cost effective and efficient with the use of overtime.
Great.
And
Thank you
Chief,
so much.
if I understand correctly, you've been pretty successful in when overtime is doled out. For instance, if you have 8 hours of overtime doled out, that person is working 8 hours. Or if it's 4 hours of overtime, that person is working 4 hours. I understand you've been eliminating the situations where a uniformed officer or any officer would be putting in an extra hours worth of time and be entitled to 4 or 8 hours of overtime. You're getting a handle on that, from what I understand.
Yeah, we are. You know, sometimes it's tough. We have to watch it. But we're doing that. One of the things that we really push hard for and advocate hard for is to get as much out of we can of our regular 8 hours before we have to go to 8 overtime. But obviously, in the police business, sometimes those things just happen. Things occur, and we have to stay over or we have to come in. But you know, I can assure you that we're being as responsible as we possibly can with the use of the city citizens overtime. You know, and I think getting a dedicated fiscal person will help us manage that even better, where we'll have someone whose eyes are just focused on our not only our overtime, but how we you know, how much money we spend on training and how much money we spend on other things that will make us more cost effective and efficient, I think.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the chief before we move on to the captain? Okay, Captain, thanks for your patience.
Okay. Good evening. So the chief wanted me to address the issue of the tractor trailers. It's becoming a huge problem, and it's been growing and growing and growing, and it seems like they've become comfortable parking throughout the city. And what we've been doing, I'm responsible for the C shift, which is basically 4 to 12, and the A shift, which is the midnight shift. What we're doing is we have a fine. It's a $130 fine. It's for overnight parking for a vehicle over 10,000 pounds. And what I've been doing is I have my officers going out on the midnight shift because there's a time limit on when you can tag these vehicles, and it's basically on the midnight shift. So I have them go into these areas throughout the city, especially the east side. You see them all along Crescent, Waterview. And for now, they're handing out these tickets. But I mean, hopefully we could work with the city and come to a long-term solution, maybe someplace they can designate where we can put these vehicles where it'll be okay. And we don't have to keep tagging them, because I mean, we have, I think, Bud's Towing. And if it comes to towing, they don't want to tow them either because they have nowhere to store these large vehicles either. So I don't know if we could talk to the city attorneys and probably check with other towns and see what they're doing for these larger vehicles that are starting to park throughout the whole city and causing a nuisance. We're actually making them move if it's deemed a hazard. Like if you've noticed, we've had some that park underneath the highways, and talking to the fire department, if one of those vehicles was to ignite, catch fire, it would cause a huge hazard for the highway traffic and the highway itself structure. So we've been trying to move them even on the day shift, relaying that they can't park underneath the highways. Another area is right under on Main Street by Catherine Street. They've become comfortable parking underneath there. So we're going to keep sticking at it, and hopefully we can come to a solution. But for now, what we've been doing, like I said, is we're tagging them. They're getting a $130 fine if they're parked overnight. That's all I have. Anybody have any questions?
Any questions for the captain? Okay.
Commissioner,
Cruz? I'm sorry, Chief, please, why don't you follow up on that, and then we'll
Yeah,
go to
I just wanted
Commissioner Cruz.
I'm sorry. Yes, Commissioner. So this has been the tractor trailer issue. Has been a issue that's been going on for several years now. And we want to work with the tractor trailer owners. I guess a lot of them are owner operators, and they may live in and around the city. But we just can't have them park in areas that cause a hazard or create an obstruction. So unfortunately, we've had to, and it's been a collective effort between the traffic division and the day shift and the overnight shift, where we've been trying to really go at those as best we can. But we want to work with them, and you know, we encourage them to contact us if they have any suggestions or solutions. But we just can't have them in certain areas, and we're going to continue to be aggressive at going after those. And not only those, the boats. I know we've been working with some of our city council to address individuals who, for some reason, I feel like they could dump boats and other items in the city of Bridgeport. And, we have made some arrests in terms of some dumping. But yes, it's an ongoing issue regarding some of these activities of parking and also dropping off boats and things like that in the city of Bridgeport.
Commissioner Cruz, you had a question?
I'll pass. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thanks, Captain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Captain, and thank you,
Thank you.
Chief.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Okay. Lieutenant, do we have anybody from the union here?
No, not today.
Okay, nothing from the union. Internal Affairs, I spoke with Lieutenant Rosen, and he will have an annual report for us at our January meeting. Moving on, we have under reports, the clerk's report on the status of pending matters. We have one second step that you'd like to get scheduled. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. And this is this pretty much it, or we have anything else in the hopper?
I did get a late email today around 2 p.m. For a Burroughs hearing that we also need to schedule.
Okay. It would be possible, assuming that the Barrows matter won't be too lengthy, it might be possible to schedule both items at the same evening.
I didn't get to review it personally, but from speaking to Internal Affairs, it does not, it seems like a minor charge, yes.
Okay, all right. So let's look at that, if we can. Our regularly scheduled meeting in January is the 16th. Is that
Yes.
correct? Yes, the 16th. Would folks be available either the previous week or later that week? I know that the following Tuesday is going to be tough for a few of us, but
What date are we talking? I'm sorry. I don't-
well, but just for the sake of throwing something out there, Wednesday, the 17th, I believe, or Thursday, the 18th.
The 17th sounds fine to me.
17th, it'd be the day after our regular scheduled meeting. Everybody's pretty good with that? Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Now, Commissioner Williams, I
No.
see you're shaking your head.
Wednesdays are not good for me.
Wednesdays are not good. Anybody have an issue with Thursdays?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
I'll confirm with the OIA officers as well.
Okay, let's try to set that up, and you can
I mean,
send
you
us.
can use those two dates. I just won't be able to make Wednesdays.
No, I understand that. We'll. Now, these are in person, Commissioner Williams. You understand that, right?
Correct. That's why I won't be able to make Wednesdays because I'll be in New Haven.
Gotcha.
And when I get from New Haven, it's at 5 o'clock. So
But
there's no way to make it.
Thursday in person's no issue. Okay,
no issues.
good to
Correct.
hear that. Sorry. So we at least tentatively try to schedule it for the Thursday, the 18th. Anything else, Lieutenant?
I do not believe so, not for me.
Okay, great. All right, first item under new business, we have a request from Council Member Anita Martinez to address the board. Anita, as you may know, is our past and once again council liaison to the board, one of probably two, I believe. But Councilwoman, nice to see you, and thanks for your patience. We sorry to get to you sooner, but let me give you the floor. I know you have an issue you want to address, and hopefully we can come to some kind of solution.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, for detectives, lieutenants, sergeants, and captains that are on. Happy holidays to you all. First and foremost, let me thank Captain Cummings on his report with regards to the trailers. The East End has been a large campers have been dumped, and they have been doing a phenomenal job with tagging them, ticketing them, and picking them up within a 24 to 48 hour turnaround period. So kudos to the captain, because it does happen during his shift, and he has been very effective. I was sworn in December 1st. I've been on it, and they have been on it just as fast as I've been on it. So thank you, because this is a quality of life, and it's very critical in the community when these boats, these trailers, and these trucks are all over the place. So thank you. Moving on, I'm going to address, there is a city business that has apparently applied for a towing license with the city of Bridgeport, and there's some issues that have to be corrected with the business as well as the city. So let me just go back to initially when I was on the council back in 2013, this towing issue came upon, and we worked on it a little bit, but then it fell through the cracks. So here we are again, addressing the towing issue that we have with the city of Bridgeport. So the towing ordinance, let's get right into this, has not been updated since 1993. That's an issue. The towing list was last updated in 2016. So in assisting this individual who's a business owner in my district, and trying to assist him with getting on the towing list, there are a few barriers that apparently he has come across. In studying quickly today, it looks to me that he is in compliance with his regulations according to the bill 2010 R0385, which was dated October 1st, 2010. According to what his requirements are, that apparently he still has missing, prior to this meeting, he had, I guess, a workers' comp certification that apparently he does not need because he's self-employed, but he can provide some insurance information. And the other issue was a site plan, which he does have, and he can provide that tomorrow. It was too big to scan to me or to even scan to our commissioner. But let me just read this into the record, which is General Statute 14-54, which applies to this individual, and it could be looked up by any commissioner or whomever is on. It does state that the local approval requirements do not apply to a transfer of ownership to a spouse, child, brother, sister, or parent of a licensee, a transfer of ownership to or from a corporation in which a spouse, child, brother, sister, or parent of a licensee has controlling interest, or a change in ownership involving the withdrawal of one or more partners from a partnership. So it is my understanding that this business has some zoning regulations apparently that have to be met. But according to the statute, which is a state statute, it doesn't look like that's the case. But whatever needs to be done, he's willing to do it. My request is that the board perhaps honors a provision temporarily until further detail of investigation is conducted to see if he's fully in compliance. He has submitted some documentation to our commissioner as well as to myself. I'm not sure if our commissioner has reviewed all of the documentation, but perhaps you all will make that decision. My other argument here is, as an elected official, the towing list has not been kept up accordingly. The towing regulations have not been kept up accordingly. And I don't want to see a small minority business be turned away from being able to tow in the city of Bridgeport because the protocol is not being followed properly. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
I agree, Anita. I know that this gentleman has been patient, and it's been a while since we've added to the tow list. I think we all understand there's a need to increase it. There's a need to offer opportunity as well. And like I say, it's been a while, and it was Deputy Chief Hannes was the last point person to my knowledge as far as towing was concerned. And it's everybody's responsibility, including the board, to make sure that the system is operating correctly. So I know through my own research what I've been told by the zoning department, because although this was previously a business that provided towing, there was zone changes in the previous business was allowed to operate by being grandfathered in, and the gentleman now would have to go in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals in order to be approved by zoning to get his business going. I think he understands that, even though from what I'm hearing, the state statute may override it, but we need to determine that. In any case, the gentleman would have to go in front of ZBA, and there was a few other issues that were not necessarily the applicant's fault, because it wasn't explained correctly, but a few minor things. I know we already talked about the site plan, which I actually saw a copy of. We have to go through zoning, which we spoke about, including an on-site inspection, and a few other things. The workers' compensation insurance, which if it's determined that none is needed because he's self-employed. And a couple of smaller things. The application included driver's licenses that weren't necessarily clear, so we may have to reshoot those, and the payment issue, which I think he needs to realize, and for the board, what I'm talking about is the annual fee, which is payable every April. I don't know if it's April 1st or some other point during the month, but that is that's what starts the 12-month period, as I understand it. So as long as the applicant realizes that if he starts any time before that, he may be, or my guess is that he would pay the annual fee, and then a short time later be stuck for another annual fee. What my thoughts were, at least from the board's perspective, since the application, with the exception of a few smaller items and zoning, and it was an existing business, and the gentleman has been patient with us. My suggestion, it would be